This moving podcast on the internet for current events. The Russian mass of 100,000 troops near the border of Ukraine is another development that's happening now. And of course, Russia's doing this. We just gave them their gas pipeline. We've given them the ability to control Europe, something Trump kept them from. Biden gave it to them while he shut down our energy independence. But and why is Moscow doing this? Well, because they're reasserting their power and their authority in the absence of a strong United States and a weak NATO. But you know what's interesting here is that they're doing this, threatening the Ukraine. And as I understand it, the Ukraine is not part of the NATO alliance. And I wonder, now just being hawkish here, I wonder if it wouldn't make sense to push back on China and Russia in the next administration when we have the right people in office and say, no, they're part of the international order of sovereign nations. We're not interested in giving up our sovereignty. This is what, by the way, this is the danger of the whole climate agenda. It designs to make this a one world government based on a common threat of climate danger. And this is what the Davos crowd wants to do. They've already consolidated Europe into their one economic system. And what they plan on doing is bringing the United States to heel as part of that with a reset dollar, digital currency. This sounds all like science fiction till you realize they're working on it. That the elites in the United States really do want to see the Obama dream of a smaller United States as part of the global order of world rulers who are leading humanity to a better future, but they're completely ignorant of the fact that China and the Islamic world is never going to submit to the woke West, especially when they see it as a declining power, precisely because of our woke agenda. You guys maybe haven't caught this, but China came out against celebrity internet personalities because they saw the danger of exalting the wrong role models in the West. They also limited the amount of internet games and time that kids are playing on the internet. They see that as being part of what took the West down. They're watching America in its decline. And the conclusion they're coming to is that our mauling of our own culture, our hating of our own flag, our critical race theory, plus the LGBTQ agenda is part of what has taken the West from being a strong, dominant nation to a nation in radical decline. So you've got something that is almost like biblical in terms of its apocalyptic scenario of the rise and fall of nations and the rise and fall of world systems. And this does not have to happen. It doesn't have to. In Trump's, it's just hard to believe, but it was just like 12 months ago, a year ago, or, we had a blowing and going and growing economy. We had unemployment under control. We had inflation under control. We had our border traffic not surging anymore with 1 million people coming over the border, now with more dangerous characters than ever before. We had energy total dominance and independence. We were exporting energy rather than walking around the world asking for help. And our supply chain, does anybody doubt that Donald Trump would have attacked the supply chain issue? His whole goal for infrastructure spending was to rebuild manufacturing so that America could once again have an economy that exported rather than was dependent on Asia and other countries. So, I don't have to tell you guys that, you know this, but I'm just reminding you that where we are now is in a steady decline as a nation, and some of this cannot be remedied. Even if you have Trump back in office, it can't be remedied because the debt is being released. The printing presses are rolling. Inflation is skyrocketing. Afghanistan has been given over with $90 billion of our weaponry to the creation of a super terrorist state as soon as the warring tribes and factions come into unity. And they are in unity, Pakistan and Afghanistan, with China, against the only democracy in that region that is substantial enough to compete with China, which is India. And what China wants to do is they want to take the Nepal region. This is like the Dalai Lama land and the Nepal region to the north of India. You watch this. There will be military engagement. Pakistan wants to fight with India. China is on the side of Pakistan and Afghanistan because they're going to claim the northern part of India, the Nepal region, as their rightful territory, just like Taiwan is their territory. If they succeed in getting that, then you will watch the collapse of South Korea, Indonesia, the Philippines into the orbit of the dragon, the new global power. And the only thing that can arrest that is the awakening of Judeo-Christian foundations in the West, a spiritual awakening that will dethrone the spiritual powers that have occupied our media, occupied our government, occupied our corporate business structure. And this is such a huge undertaking that it almost produces a challenge for me to even see how it can happen, unless there is a clearer map to define where the threat is to the United States. And that's what I'm talking about now. What I'm describing is the threat. The good news, I told you I was going to give you some good news. The good news is that Biden's aggregate policy impact, meaning all of these things combined, is producing such a level of distress and dissatisfaction in the American electorate that in spite of the propaganda arm, and in spite of the control of academia, and in spite of the blitzkrieg of Wall Street interests in communist investments in China to make their money, you're seeing the American people, the populist movement, pushing back. What happened in Virginia, what happened in New Jersey, which was a shock to them, what happened in the defund the police, votes that were on the table in Spokane, Washington, and in Cincinnati. What you're seeing is the American people are saying, some 59 to 60%, they don't like Biden's regime. Biden is being used up, I believe, by the Obama team, the Susan Rices, the Soros-funded network of activists, the Bernie Sanders activists. He's being used up to advance as radical an agenda as he can get away with, and then they're going to cast him aside. The problem they've got, and this is the good news for us, is that Kamala Harris has worse ratings than him because the White House is like a microscope. It puts everything under scrutiny, whether you like it or not. And as the American people get to know her, she is disingenuous. She is inauthentic. She is a bad leader, ineffective at solving problems, big on rhetoric. She's got Obama's speechwriter, but she doesn't deliver like he did. Her political instincts are tone deaf. So it looks as though we could see 60, 70, 80, 90 seats recovered. This is like building the American Firewall in 1 year. We see that in the Senate, where they've got some 30 elections happening. What did you tell me earlier? It's like there's
34.
17 Republicans or 17 potential
I think it's
seats.
20 Republicans are up, and I want to say 14 Democrats. I think it's 34 Senate seats up.
So there is a movement that is happening, and it's happening independent of the legacy media apparatus, the New York Times and the CNNs of this world. And what that tells me is that the American people still have enough communication coming to them from other sources like this that are organizing at a grassroots level the pushback. And it's the grassroots that the left is having a problem with. Very few people know that my buddy Mike Lindell built his business literally while sleeping in the basement of his sisters. He has a couple of sisters. He was just kind of couch surfing from house to house. He built this incredible business. And early on, remember, Mike's a fairly young Christian, actually. But when he first got saved after coming out of drugs, he would wear this cross. And the producers, like the QVC commercial, they said, "Hey, you got to get rid of the cross." He said, "No, I'm not getting rid of the cross." He had warfare over that cross. This guy was marked like Donald Trump from the beginning to be able to do something significant. Now, he built this incredible company, and you know about that. But I'm serious about this. Mike's products on his MyPillow site are phenomenal. And the one that I love the most is the soft, therapeutic, cushiony, warm, yet firm suede imitation suede and solid boot bottom slippers he's got. You could wear these indoors, you could wear these outdoors, and it's my personal favorite because when I put my foot into that, it's like a little slice of heaven. You could sleep with the pillow, but you could walk with a pillow. And I would prefer to walk with the pillow. You want to go to this site right now. This is mypillow.com. And here we go. It's www, like you didn't know that, .mypillow.com. But when you check out, you got to use the promo code Lance because I told Mike I'm going to keep him in business with the slipper sales. You can get, these are the low ones, the low ride in the back, but you can get the high ones. I've got both. I've got a pair for home and a pair for the office, mypillow.com. But don't forget, use the code because you're going to get like 40, 50% off of his stuff, all of it, with Lance. And this is the deal that Mike and I have. And I love this guy because he's a patriot. He's not ashamed of Jesus. And his products just make me feel like I'm